Well, how many of you know we are inundated with all of this media that's out there? You've got email, you've got, oh yes, everyone. You've got so much going on. You've had to find a way that you stand out among all of that blizzard. I'm going to take you back to about 1982. My husband and I were asked by my grandfather to take him shopping for a car. We said, okay, no problem. So we went to the dealership on South Lindbergh and started looking for a car. Well, the salesman, we immediately told him that my grandfather was the one that was looking for the car. But he continued to talk to my husband and I. Told us about this car, how fast it was, the great color, great for young people. We kept saying, he's looking for the car. Come back, and he kept talking to us over and over again. We told him again, we are not his target market. This man had no idea. My grandfather could have purchased any on the lot and paid cash. Mike and I couldn't have financed any of them on the lot. So saying that, I think you realized he did not know his target market. He didn't know as a target market where we lived, where my grandfather shopped. Now let me take you back though. I have to, in defense of the dealership, the salesman, my grandfather, I dressed him like garanimals, where you have to match colors and the kids know what to wear by what's on them, because he didn't look the part. He didn't look like he could afford that. So needless to say, that's why the salesman kept coming back to us. You'll look here, there's coffee there, there's tea there, there's a lot of different things there. And talking about this same guy, if you knew him well and you were selling coffee, you would also know, as your target market, that this gentleman, when he got up in the morning, he liked sugar and cream in his coffee. By afternoon, he only liked cream, and by the evening, he liked it black. Quite unique, right? But knowing your target market is so valuable, that's what will keep you out of the blizzard of the media and make you stand out. You'll see there's a lot of different target audiences. You might see if some of those and recognize those today. But if you're looking for your target audience, do you know where they shop? Do you know their age group? Do you know their economic status? Do you know the things they do for fun? What do you really know about them? Because just like that salesman, he had no idea who his target audience was. He was trying to sell to the wrong people. So if he's giving out the wrong information, what difference does it make? Okay. How many of you recognize that? There's a couple of you old enough like me to recognize that. Okay, don't play shy. What I'm talking about here is putting out old content. When you want to be seen in the media, no old content. If you've got old content, you better put a new twist on it and make it sound really good. You need to be on the cutting edge. You need to let people know what's going on in your business now, not what happened 30 years ago. So staying ahead and staying on the edge of everything is extremely important. Do you have a way they can subscribe? When I'm talking about subscribing, do you have video that they can subscribe to? Do you have a newsletter? If not, Tom's here, he can help you with that. Market Vault would be happy to. Okay, but do they have ways that they can subscribe to you and you can stay in front of them? Very, very important. If you're not staying in front of that target market so that when they decide they need your services or they need you, you've lost all of it to stay ahead and out of that blizzard of the media. When we talk about video, it's extremely important that you know that that's the number one thing that comes up when you do a search on Google. So if you do not have video, you are missing a major opportunity. And how many of you go, oh, I don't want to be on screen. I can't do that. I don't like that. Okay, I see a lot of you. I know how you are. I have a lot of clients that go, oh, please don't make me do video, please. Won't mention Laurie's name. But she was fabulous. She was extremely fabulous, but that's how you get the information out there. That's how people start to know, like, and trust you. And especially if you're a coach, and we have a lot of coaches in here, how do they know if they want to work with you if they don't? You eliminate a lot of this blizzard if you will just do a video, have some content out there, and they decide whether you're the right person to work with or not. Because let's face it, not everyone is our target market. And that's what so many make the mistake of doing, is assuming everyone's their target market. I remember Dale years ago talking about, we have this big circle that's our entire market, but we're not going to invite people into that circle. It's only that 20% that is our real target market. Can I talk to everyone about social media? Absolutely. But am I going to work with everyone on their social media? No. That's why this target market and speaking specifically to them, their needs, their wants, that's what's important. Okay, the fortune is in the follow-up is true. But this is up here to remind you of images and how important images are on your social media. Now, we know Cynthia is the queen of images. There is no doubt to that. But with using images, it gives you an opportunity to take your brand and keep it moving. Because when someone shares this image on social media, then it takes your company name with it, that information, as well as you can see at the bottom, I have more branding, so they know how to find me in that direction as well. Images are the second, or actually it's the first most important area on social. Your video is second only, but your video gets seen more on Google. So you want to make sure those images are very much targeted so that you're trying to hit the right audience, and the people that need you are seeing this information. How many of you use images often in your social? If you don't, I highly suggest you start there, because it's very important. Because think about it, when you scroll through, what stops you? Images, pictures, absolutely. Many times we'll stop for a video, but what happens if we stop for a video and it's more than 2 minutes? Next, exactly, Jeremy, next. Don't have time for that. Isn't that amazing how our mind tells us we have 2 minutes, but we don't have any more than that? So using that to your advantage, use those images, make sure they say something to your audience. How many of you feel like you really have a good grasp? And if I ask you right now, who was your target audience, you could tell me? A few? Good, good. Know that you've got to talk to them on a regular basis. And you've got to make it you I'm talking to, rather than you I'm talking to. You want them to feel like it's directed directly at them. Now, how many of you are listening to your target audience? How many of you are listening? How many of you put things out on social media and never realized somebody contacted you for 3 days? Please don't let that happen. Be listening. Be very involved, that you at least get some kind of information letting you know someone left something for you to respond to. Very important. If you are not engaging, if you are not listening to your audience, you need to be. Because if you're not listening, guess what happens? They move on. They say next. Because you're not taking care of their needs. You're not listening to them. Very, very important. And on a regular basis, anything that we talk about, we get people excited about, you really only have 3 days to follow up on that, or you have lost all that momentum and you have to start over. Now, you are not on any of your platforms to cause an argument or a debate. Does it happen? Do people say things? Absolutely. But it's how you not react, but respond to them. Very important that many times you can get things that are said that aren't necessarily negative, but they could be. But if they're making a comment that's negative, respond to that you would like to take that offline, because that lets everyone else know that's watching that you care enough about your customer service that you want to take care of it, but you want to take it offline. You do not want to debate, and you do not want to carry on online in front of people. You think about it, if you can't say something good, don't say anything at all. Okay? How many of you have seen people on that it's all me, 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 me? We're going to talk about my company and what we're doing and how great I am and how you should work with me. Anybody seen anyone online like that? What happens when you do? Next. You know, it's kind of like when we used to be inundated with all this email that from people that send you 500 things about everything, you know, what they just had for breakfast and everything else. What happens? If that's the kind of person you're getting emails from, you just scroll right past them. You hope nothing important happened because you're not going to see it. That's being lost in that blizzard. So it's the same way online. If it's all about me, 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 you're being lost in that blizzard because they have just tuned you out. You are no longer important. Okay, the next thing you need to do is measure. Test and measure. Everything you're doing, do you know how it's working? Do you know if it is working? Do you look at your analytics? Do you have any idea if you're putting ads out there, if they're working or if they're not? Do you test them with different images? And I have to tell you, there's times, even with what I do, that I put things out and I go, oh, this is the best image. This is going to get so many results, and get nothing. And put another one out and everybody loves it. And I'm like, what? What happened there? So that's why you test and measure everything you're doing. The next thing I want you to make sure you're doing is being consistent. If you're putting things out there today and you're doing good and you got it tomorrow and the next day, and then you go, oh, I haven't had time for 5 days. You lost all your momentum. And you do realize on social media, just because you put it out once today, that I didn't necessarily see it. I think many people think just because I put it out there that, you know, everybody's going to see it. I put something important out. It's got to be out more than once. But staying consistent is the most important thing you can do, and talk to that target audience on a regular basis. Rinse and repeat. Everything I just said, just keep rinsing and repeating. That's part of that marketing. It's on an ongoing basis. And I suggest that you don't fly alone. Absolutely. E4E is the place that you can find all your partners to help you make your business fly to the highest with the right audience. Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions?
Karen, you talk about being consistent and repeating in there. Can you tell me, like I do blog posts, and I realize when I post it out on social media that not everybody's going to see it at that time. Do you make announcements of that several times?
Absolutely.
Even though it's the same post?
Absolutely. And take different images and put the link to that blog post. So it looks like different content out there, but it's still taking them and repurposing that content that you put so much time and energy into.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
No more questions? Oh, Karen has.
What resources do you use for creating images?
Oh, that great question, Karen. The one I love most is Canva, canva.com. You know, it has a free version and a business version as well, but that's where I do most of mine. And if I'm using Buffer, then I'll also do, sometimes I'll use Pablo to create those.
How do you spell Canva?
Canva, like canvas, only you leave the S off of it.
So Karen, as you know, I am not good at social media at all. It's not something that I enjoy or stay consistent with. So a lot of your presentation really spoke to me on that. Can you kind of talk to the point of what risk do you run when you are so inconsistent and if you're not engaged in social media at all with your business? Well,
Will you go out of business because of not using it? No. but I think it enhances, and it's a credibility. So you're staying in front of people. So like right now, I might not need your services, but seeing things pop up, little tips and things like we talked about that are a little video, those kind of things, they work extremely well to keep you in front of me so that when I need your services, or if, I'm talking to someone else and they say, I think I need a bookkeeper, I need somebody to come in, as a CFO, those kind of things, I can say, oh, top of mind is Laurie. So you hold that cubbyhole space in my mind. So that's why it's important.
I hear a lot about, Karen, about figuring out who your target market is. Do you have any secrets or anything, any little nugget you could share with the group about what you've seen to be an effective way to figure out who your target market is?
Without going into a lot of software and deep details, a lot of times I find with clients that we go through the people that they're already working with and look at exactly who those clients are and who seems to be the majority of them. Then you start to see a pattern here. Then you drill down a little deeper and survey them. Where are they shopping? Who are they working with? What do they need? What kind of business? Those kind of things. So that's an inexpensive way to do it without all the software and the research on it. Mm-hmm.
So many times my husband's doing it.
As far as LinkedIn goes, my rule about accepting is that I'll accept it unless they look like an axe murderer. Is there any, is it bad to accept links from people or connections from people you don't know if they know people that you respect? What's the deal on what you should do there?
That's personal, Mary, I have to tell you, but I do kind of the same thing. I look at them and see how we're connected, how we might be, physically connected to other people. And if I feel it's a comfortable area, I'll stay into it. If not, and I don't. I will tell people that are in certain industries, do not connect with everyone in the same industry because you want to show up as the expert there, not everyone else in your same industry. Mm-hmm.
This happenstance, but on the way over this morning, I was listening to NPR, and to Karen's message here, they were talking about the fact that at one point Subaru was really struggling, and and the dealerships were beginning to worry about it. And when they started to look at their customers who was actually buying, one of the things they found is that a lot of their customers were lesbians, and that when they changed their marketing messages to appeal to that market and in subtle ways, and they were also able to expand it and turned it around very quickly. So it is a very, very powerful tool to make sure you know who that ideal customer is, and looking at your existing customers, the ones who are buying, paying a premium and being consistent in their purchasing is a great way to do that. Great advice, Karen.
Thank you.
I want to add one other thing to that. I heard that same piece this morning, and it was terrific. And part of the subtle messages that that Dale was talking about were code words, and so they learned the code language of that audience.
Speaking their language.
The code language, and so some of the code language went on license plates of the cars in the ads, so that there was a license plate. And so I thought it was an extremely effective strategy and just a very, very interesting piece of knowing what your audience, how your audience speaks, what's meaningful to that audience.
Thank you. It's true. Know their language. Speak their talk. Okay. Thank you all very much.